Masz odwagę powiedzieć żono i stałem tam, gdzie stało ZOMO.
Hi guys, and today we'll talk about the tips, and I have really 3 tips for you. What you need to prepare before you will go to Korea, what you need to know before you will travel to Korea, and what you should prepare before you will even buy a ticket to Korea, because there are things you need to know before. First of all, you need to have a passport. You need to apply for a passport and have your passport in hand. In some countries it takes 2-3 weeks to receive passport. In some it can take 1 or 2 months. Depends about your citizenship and where you live. If you live in a country which citizenship you have, nationality, you have that nationality, it will be much faster if you live abroad. For example, if you are a British citizen, it will be much faster to make a British passport in the UK than if you live abroad and you will need to do it in British embassy. The same in the US. It's much faster to do it in the US if you have a nationality in the country, because it will be made by Department of State. It will take much longer if you need to do it in the US embassy. The same with the citizens of Poland. It takes a little longer if you live abroad, but it's not impossible. It just takes a little longer. For example, if you are a Polish citizen and you live in Poland, it will take about 3-4 weeks to make a passport from a day when you go to the office, apply for a passport until you receive it. 3 to 4 weeks. If you live abroad, it will take 6 to 7 weeks, which is about 1.5 months. A little longer, but always possible. But first of all, if you want to travel to Korea, you will need a passport. This is the first thing you need to organize. You need to deal with that, apply for a passport and receive a passport. When you have a passport in the hand, you need to apply for KETA, which is a Korean Electronic Travel Authorization. This is a special electronic visa, which means that you are allowed to travel to Korea. To apply for a KETA, you will need passport, photo of a passport, your biometric photo. Then you will need information, address, where do you live, where do you work, and where you will stay in Korea. The main information. And you need to apply for KETA, and it takes up to 72 hours, up to 3 days to receive a result. These are the 2 main basic steps, what you have to do. Without a passport and KETA, you are not allowed to travel to Korea. But there are also not necessary but important things what you should do. You don't have to, but you should do, which makes your life easier. First of all, phone. We don't think about it so much, because we only think about our phone when something doesn't work, when we cannot use some app on a phone, there's some malfunction with a phone, or when we want to buy a new, better phone after a few years. We have our phone 2, 3, 4 years and we want to buy something new. So there's the moment when we think about our phone. That you want something better. But if you want to travel to some country, especially which is far away from a place where you live, you need to think about the phone, because you need 2. So you need 2 phones, and on the first phone, which is your main phone, you will be available on your normal number. You just need to disable data roaming, data transmission on that phone after you will arrive in Korea, because data roaming outside EU is very expensive. So you need to disable just data transmission, but you need to have this phone turned on, and it also need to be available for your bank to confirm that you are abroad. So you need to receive calls on that phone. Then your second phone will be your travel phone, the phone when you put a local Korean SIM card, tourist SIM card, just for internet access, so you have access to internet. But you need to remember that on your main card, which is your phone number which you use at home. You need to turn on international roaming, international calling, and international data roaming. We also need to turn on 5G on that SIM card. So that's very, very important. You will not use data on that card when you will be abroad, but you need to have this enabled. And both these two phones needs to be 5G compatible. It needs to be 5G phones. You need a Google Pay, which needs to be set up on a both phone. So if you have your card, which is a card from your bank, it is set up and configured on a Google Pay, Google Wallet on the one phone. It's not automatically made on a second phone. You need to activate Google Pay on one phone and on a second phone. I need to do it for all cards you have, debit and credit cards on a both phone. You need to do it separately on both phones. And then your second phone, which is your travel phone, needs to be unlocked, so you can put the local Korean SIM card or any other SIM card which is 5G compatible. Then you need your card to account. This is also too complicated. So you have two options. You can have account in euro, as you do at home, or you can have another separate account in the local currency. The problem is that most European banks doesn't offer accounts in KRW, which is Korean won. They don't have in offer Korean won, so you will be not allowed to open account in a Korean currency, but you can use a account in euro or account in USD, in United States dollars. From my point of view, it's much better to have account in euro, because exchange rate from euro to Korean won is much better than an exchange rate from dollars to Korean won, so it will be easier for you. And I can recommend Revolut, which is one of the best international banks. You need a card to that account in euro, because you will pay in Korean won and it will be automatically exchange to a euro from Korean won. But it's a really good idea to have a virtual card which is connected with your Google Wallet, and have a second plastic card which is not connected. Why? In most places in Korea, in a convenience store and other stores, in many places, you will be able to pay using Google Wallet, so you will use your phone for payment. But you need to add your virtual card to be able to pay by using phone. But there are some places in Korea when you will need a plastic card, for example, ATMs. And so then you will need a plastic card. Second thing is that you will need to buy a T-Money card, which is a special prepaid card, which this is a card which you use to pay for public transport. You can pay all the convenience store using your international debit card, international credit card, or a T-Money card. But for a public transport fares, you need to use T-Money card. When you buy T-Money card, which costs 4,000 Korean won, let me explain. Today, the situation is pretty nice, and 100,000 Korean won, 100,000 Korean won, it is exactly 70 euros. 70 euros, 100,000 Korean won. And the thing is, when you buy a T-Money card, you need to put the money on this to top up it. You do this in a special machine, but that machine accepts only cash. You cannot use your card to top up T-Money card. It's very inconvenient. It's a little crazy, but you need to use ATM when you need a plastic card to withdraw money from ATM. And after you withdraw money from ATM, you need to put this on your T-Money card. From my point of view, You can choose between a classic T-Money card when you pay ride by ride on every ride on subway, or you can buy 7-day unlimited, which is a little more expensive. But when you pay M-Pass, which is unlimited, then you will have a cash and that unlimited term on your T-Money card, but also you need to put first cash on your T-Money card. So this is important to have a plastic debit card with you and plastic credit card. And so we know that we need to have a virtual card and a physical card, a plastic card. The best idea is to have 2 virtual cards and 2 plastic cards. I would recommend you to have 2 virtual cards, 1 Visa, 1 MasterCard, and have 2 plastic cards, 1 Visa and 1 MasterCard. Why? If you lose one card, if it will be stuck in the ATM, you don't want to lose access to your money when you are abroad. So you need a second card, as a backup card, as an emergency card. So you need at least 2 plastic cards when you go to Korea. But the best idea is to have this in 2 systems, Visa and MasterCard. So if there will be any malfunction with a Visa, you can use MasterCard. If there will be any malfunction with MasterCard, you can use a Visa. You will be not stuck. This is a very important thing. Then you need to install 2 very important apps on your, or even 3 very important apps on your phone. First of all, of that apps is Naver Map. Google Maps doesn't work really good in Korea. It works, but you don't have all streets, and the coverage of Google Maps is not the best in Korea. This is because that Korean War is still a big case. It's still a problem, and the thing is that they don't trust so much Google Maps. They have their own map, which is a Naver Map, so it's a good idea to install it. It's not a very big app. You can install on any Android phone, so it's not a problem. Second, you need Tato Taxi. Tato Taxi is a special app similar to Uber. The same thing. Uber works in Korea, but it's not very reliable in Korea. It's not as popular in Europe, not as popular in the US. In Korea, you need to install Tato Taxi, which is the mainstream app used for transportation in Seoul and South Korea. And a good but not necessary app is a special app to read your T-Money card. There are special T-Money card reader app, so you can every time just put your card on the phone, and your phone will check your balance, how many Korean ones you have on the T-Money card, which is very comfortable. Then we have stuff, equipment, hardware, or just products and devices, what you need to have with you if you want to make a vlogs. This is a special for YouTubers. So you need to take with you camera. I would recommend you 3 cameras for that. First is a mirrorless camera, classic mirrorless camera with a detachable lens, so we can change your lens to which you want. I would recommend you full frame DSLR or full frame mirrorless camera. From my point of view, the best is Sony A7. And it's pretty great. It's not very big because it's a mirrorless camera, but it's a full frame. You can attach many lenses to that camera, all with Sony E-mode. So it's a special bayonet for a lens designed to be attached to a mirrorless camera, but you can use also converter from Sony E-mode to Sony A-mode, which was a bayonet for a Sony DSLR cameras, which are fully compatible with Minolta AF, made since 1985. So it's a pretty great solution, but I would take that camera Sony A7 with a lens Samyang 40mm f2.8. but you can use a lens from 14mm, 24mm. Sony has their own lens, 24mm, with a special converter, wide converter, pretty great with f2.0, pretty great, and it's a really good idea to take mirrorless camera with you. Second thing is that you should take a vlog camera, which will be easy not to record them, but to record you, and you will have this in the hand. We have two types that I can recommend you. First is a Sony Action Cam. It's not produced anymore, but it's a really great camera, Sony Action Cam. And the second is DJI Pocket 2. Pretty great vlog camera. If you have to choose, I would recommend you take both, but you have to choose one of them. Take Sony Action Cam. Maybe you will be able to buy it on eBay or AliExpress, some used one, if because they are not produced anymore. And the third camera is a 360-degree camera, and I can recommend you Insta360-degree camera, which is called Insta360 1x2. Insta360 1x2, pretty great camera. You can change batteries, you can change a SIM memory card in that. 5.7K with two lenses built in. Pretty great videos, pretty nice camera. So the three cameras are really important. Then you will need SD cards, and I can recommend you only one type of SD cards, which are a little expensive and not such big capacity, but really fast. There's a SD card called SanDisk Extreme Pro V30, 32 GB. SD cards, SanDisk Extreme Pro V30, 32 GB. Why then? Just the Sony Extreme Pro V30 are one of the fastest micro SD cards. Of course, they are faster as full-size SD cards like SAR and other SanDisk full-size cards, which are faster. But if you need a micro SD card, and to a vlog camera and 360-degree camera, you need micro SD card. To mirrorless camera, you can use micro SD card or full size, but if you have many equipment with a micro SD, you will probably use micro SD with an adapter. So the best idea is to have a fast card, because vlog camera and 360-degree camera they really need a fast card. That's 5.7K for 360-degree and 4K for a vlog, so it's a lot of data. So I can recommend you SanDisk Extreme Pro V30, 32 GB. Why 32, not 64 or 128? There's only one reason. 128 GB this card, and 64 is much slower than 32, so it's better to buy 4 piece or 6 piece of 32 GB card than 1 piece of 128 GB card. It's much better. What you need then? You will need some suitcase. I recommend you suitcase with 4 wheels. Don't buy suitcase with 2 wheels, because if you will put a lot of things inside, it will be heavy. 20 kilograms. What's that? It's about 45 pounds of weight. What's 45 pounds of weight? It's nothing. It is. If you go around the city, if you go from an airport to a city, if you will need to go to a hostel, change a place, it's heavy. After a whole day, you will feel it. Not after 5 minutes, but after a whole day, you will feel that it's heavy. So it's much better to have a suitcase with 4 wheels, not with 2 wheels. Then you need to take some computer, some laptop. I can recommend you many laptops. I've made videos on my channel which laptops are better or worse, but that's another topic. So just take your computer, your notebook with you. Then you will need probably an external hard drive to take all photos and videos which will be recorded on that travel. External hard drive. Standard external hard drive for USB 2.5-inch standard. You don't have to buy external SSD. It doesn't need to be so fast. You need SSD in your computer, in your laptop. You need a big SSD, but as an external drive, you can have a standard HDD, which will be cheaper and bigger for the same price. And I can recommend you 2 terabytes for a 2-week travel. If you travel for 2 weeks, you need 2 terabyte external hard drive. If you travel for 3 or 4 weeks, you need 4 terabyte external hard drive, or 2 drives with 2 terabyte capacity each. So it is a main rule: 1 week, 1 terabyte of space. Then you will need a power adapters, universal power adapters. You will need that. You can have a special power adapter for US, a special power adapter for UK, and for for Australia. Because there are four major standard of plugs. European plug, which is a standard C class C type plug, which is common in European Union. Then you have a British type of plug and socket, US a type of plug and socket, which is called type A, and you will have also Australia type of pocket, which is similar to US, but they are not parallel, but they are in a V style connection. So this is 4 standard connection for power, and you can have different adapters for each of that standard, but you can also have one universal. When you press just a button, and you can have a universal adapter, which is much better from my point of view, because they have better quality than standard connectors, and you have all in one. So it's a pretty great idea, but you need this. In Korea, they use European style of connectors, like we call it Shulko, which is the German style of connectors, and it is used in the Republic of Korea, South Korea. So you need the same as on a travel to Europe. If you have stuff and equipment from US, you will need European connector. If you are from UK, you will need European connector, because Korea use European standard, which is very important. Especially that Japan use US standard, Japan. So you need to know which converter you need, but you need that adapter for sure. And of course you need a charger for your computer, for your phone, and for your cameras. I can recommend you use this type of cameras which can be charged from USB, so you have less stuff, less chargers. If you have the same connection in your camera and phone, and it can be charged from the USB, that camera, so you can use a phone charger to charge your camera, which is a really great idea, because you don't need too many stuff. You just need things which is necessary on a travel, because there's a wide limit for your luggage. You have carry-on luggage, and you have check-in luggage. And then you should take one power extension cable. One extension cable really great, with 4 or 5 sockets, one plug, cable, and sockets. 4 or 5 sockets, just to be able to charge your old device. Then you need only one power adapter at the start of the extension cable, and then you have 4 or 5 your style sockets, so which is better, because you don't need 4 or 5 power adapters. You need only one, and you use only one socket, one output on the wall, not so you leave other for other people. Pretty great idea to use this type of power extension cable. You should put in your check-in luggage one power extension cable. It's not very heavy. And what you should buy after arrival on Incheon airport in Korea, you need to remember that you need to buy a SIM card on airport, not in a city, because before you will go to a city, you need to have internet access immediately on the airport. You cannot go to a city without SIM card and without internet access, because you will be lost in a city. It's a big city, you need internet access immediately on the airport. And the second thing, that you need T-Money card to pay for a ride. In Korea, at this point in December 2022, it's not possible to pay using contactless or Google Pay for a transportation. You have to pay using T-Money card. So you need to buy T-Money card in one machine and then go to ATM, withdraw cash and put that cash on that card. I would recommend you that the first top up, you should top up your T-Money card for about 100,000 Korean won. 100,000, it is 1 and 5 zeros of that, which is about 70 euros at the start. Day by day you will see, because you can check on your phone how many balance you have on that card, and be prepared. I would recommend you to pay for a transportation, for a subway, for a bus using T-Money card, which is the only option, and to pay on vending machines using T-Money card, which is also the only option, usually the only option. So sometimes it is possible to use contactless, but it's a better idea to use that T-Money card on vending machine. But at convenience store, it's a better idea to pay by Google Pay, which is just easier for all that. And I think this is the most important things, what you need to know, the most important tips, what you should do before travel to Korea. It's more about equipment, more about the stuff, but it is also necessary to be prepared before. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'm gonna catch you later.
Kobiety chciałbyś zniewolić, pozbawić chciałbyś niewolnej woli.